and payment will be in Indian rupees. And there is a circular from the Reserve Bank of India a year ago. Now, there are some common challenges. I did some research on India-Africa relationship and their economic status. There are some common features and challenges for Africa and India, which should engage all of us as stakeholders in agribusiness. That must engage all of us, and we need to find more positive outcomes and common solutions, African countries and India together, and it is possible. What are these challenges for these two, Africa as a continent and Indian subcontinent? One is food and nutrition security. We may not be food insecure today, but we are certainly nutritionally deficient. For food security will be a long-term challenge. Therefore, food and nutrition security is an area that needs a lot of attention from both sides. Smallholder cultivation. Like in India, we have smallholders. 80% of the farmers hold less than 2 hectares of land. Same case here, smallholder cultivation. Climate change is one of the biggest challenges that's facing mankind. And we have to catch the bull by the horns, as they say. We need to work together to have smart agriculture, climate resilient agriculture, etc. I think, and there are technologies available for this. Another common challenge is agriculture infrastructure. We need to invest more heavily in agriculture infrastructure. India is obviously expanding its agriculture infrastructure, but I think given the challenges in that area, we need a lot more investment. The same goes for African countries. Lot more infrastructure investment is required. And there are some companies in India with strong interest in agri infrastructure, which are actually willing to come and invest in Africa. For Africa is actually in a position now to attract investment from India. Many of the companies are actually setting up their offices and operations in Africa. And of course, both African nations and India have a very large population to feed, and that's extremely important. For there are a lot of commonalities, and these commonalities can be leveraged by working together. By working together in 4 different areas, in my view. We can work together to promote trade. We can work together to promote investment. We can work together to promote research. We can work together to promote technology. Yesterday's research is today's science. Today's science is tomorrow's technology. And therefore, we need to be working together. We need to be spending research dollars, both India and most of the African countries together, to come up, for example, as I said, with climate smart agriculture, etc. All that. Coming specifically to Tanzania, it's very, very interesting. India-Tanzania two-way merchandise trade is today in excess of $5 billion. And over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been growing. Very, very interesting. And therefore, Tanzania is such an important trading partner for India. And therefore, I think this is the overall background, overall context in which over the next 2 days, we shall be discussing a series of crops, a series of topics and themes. I'm sure you have in the agenda, you have all the topics and themes together. We have some of the brightest minds, some of the top class speakers and domain experts who are going to be here to share their thoughts and to share their views. I think this is going to be an extremely enriching seminar, summit, Africa-India Agribusiness Summit 2023, in my view, is going to be extremely enriching for all the participants who are assembled here. And I can assure you, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, and there is a lot more that can happen over the years in cementing the Africa and India relationship. There is one big announcement which I want to make, but I want to draw Dilip's attention and Suve's attention. Shall I make that big announcement? Okay, let me make that big announcement. We are forming Africa-Asia Agri Alliance. Okay? We are now today talking about Africa-India agri-business, but we are now setting up a platform called Africa-Asia Agri-Alliance. It is not merely agriculture trade. Trade will be a part of it, but lot more than mere agri-business and agri-trade. It will look at investment. It will look at research. It will look at technology transfer, etc. Therefore, the focus of Africa-Asia Agri-Alliance, which is 4A, the focus of these 4A will be 4 pillars. This alliance will stand on 4 pillars: trade, investment, research, and technology. I think that's the way forward. And this bunch of promoters, the entrepreneurs, TASO events, is absolutely bent on ensuring that we take this big idea forward over the years. It's going to take time, but the idea is very clear, the roadmap is very clear, and TASO events is going to take this forward wholeheartedly with a lot of commitment. And the government of India in several different ministries has expressed its consent and is going to support this event, because the focus of India is increasingly on Africa. With this, let me stop. Let me say good luck. God bless you all. Have a great summit over the next 2 days. And now I need to invite Romi to take over. Is that right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you so very much, Mr. Chandrasekhar, for that very heartwarming address, setting the tone, the context, and the brilliant piece of good news that we all are witnessed to share today on this platform. With that, it now gives us pleasure to invite Shri Atul Mundraji and Shri Dilip Kabraji to kindly felicitate all our guests of honor sitting on this stage. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause for Shri Atul Mundraji and Shri Dilip Kabraji as they now felicitate all our esteemed dignitaries on this platform. Ladies and gentlemen, we request you to join in with your thunderous applause as these mementos are now presented to all our dignitaries. So here we go. So starting off with Mr. Chandrasekhar, let's have a memento, and Shri Dilip Kabra and Shri Atul Mundraji will present these. Let's have a memento presented to Honorable Ms. Anisa Kapuvi Mega, the High Commissioner of Tanzania to India, our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause. To Honorable Ms. Latifa Mohammed Hamis, the Director General, Tanzania Trade Development Authority, our guest of honor. Let's have a big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please. May we request Suresh ji to kindly join us now to give away the mementos. Ladies and gentlemen, His Excellency Vinaya Shrikanta Pradhan, High Commissioner of India, our guest of honor. It's indeed such a big honor. I request Chandrasekhar ji to kindly present this memento along with Mundraji and Kabraji. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, a big, big, big honor for us. To Mr. D.D. Gupta, Managing Director, Savera Commodities and Emeritus Chairman, Singapore Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, our VIP guest. Let's have a round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, please do join in.
Mr. Guru Prasad, I join us. Great warm welcome, sir, to you. Thank you.
To Mr. Bimal Kothari, Indian Pulses and Grains Association. Let's have a big, big round of applause. May we request Mr. Guru Prasad to kindly join us here to give away these mementos. Thank you so very much. To Mr. Natimbi, the Chief Chairman and Managing Director of Air Tanzania Corporation. Let's have a big round of applause. And ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank Air Tanzania. They are our travel partner for this very esteemed event here. Thank you so very much, Air Tanzania. Indeed, we loved flying Air Tanzania. There was absolutely no turbulence whatsoever. And we love the food as well. And now with that, we'd like to take the pleasure of inviting onto the dais His Excellency, Vinaya Srikanta Pradhan, the High Commissioner of India, for a short speech. Sir, if you would please.
A very good afternoon, namaskar. Let me begin by greeting the colleagues, the dignitaries on the dais. Let me welcome the delegates who have come from India. It looks like the delegates have actually taken over the city of Dar es Salaam. I think first time I am seeing such a big delegation coming from India. So a special welcome to, on behalf of the High Commission, a special welcome to each one of you who have come from India. So let me take a few minutes to set the context from Government of India side. I think you all are experts on the agro-industry aspect, so I don't have to get into the detail, but let me say a few words from my 2 years of experience and how I have seen the market here, the government here, working in the sector, and how the bilateral relationship is evolving on the agriculture sector. Probably I feel that probably that will give you some perspective while you are negotiating your business engagements, while you are discussing with your private sector colleagues in Tanzania. So just a historical perspective, I think Mr. Chandrasekhar mentioned about the relationship, mentioned about a larger context of India and Africa. He also mentioned about the merchandise trade. But if you look at the agriculture sector, I would say it remains a priority area between the two governments. Of course, it goes without saying that in both the economies, in both the countries, agriculture remains the largest employer. Agriculture sector, provides a large chunk of our GDPs. But if you look at our bilateral relations, it was a major area of cooperation. I think the Indian diaspora, many of whom are present here today, they played a big role in contributing to agriculture sector in Tanzania, even in pre-independence period. And post-independence time, you would be happy to know that during 70s, during 80s, during 90s, we used to have a government-to-government engagement through which agriculture sector experts from India would come and work here with the government of Tanzania. So we have a rich history of working in this sector. And if you look at the engagement, it's not limited only to a particular aspect. Like I was going through some of the statistics. So if you look at the Indian investment here in last 25 years, our investment is about $4 billion. And in that, the largest segment is agriculture sector. So as per the Tanzanian Investment Center, there are 46 projects where Indians have invested $651 million, which is providing direct employment to 14,563 jobs. So it's an underrated area. People don't talk much about agriculture sector cooperation, but it remains a very strong pillar in our bilateral relation. I also come across many people who are not Indian registered companies. So many people, particularly in Tanzania, they are seen as investment from UAE, they are seen as investment from Mauritius, but they are practically Indian investment. So I would say Indian investment in agriculture sector in Tanzania has remained substantive. Our people have worked here with the farmers, with the cooperatives, with the government in areas like cashew, coffee, other cash crops in pigeon pea. So it's a very symbiotic relationship, a cooperation which goes to decades old. And thanks to the duty-free tariff preference scheme, we are importing a large chunk of Tanzanian agro products to India. And if you look at our bilateral trade, last year it was $6.4 billion bilateral trade. Our export was about 3.9 billion, their export was about $2.5 billion. And from their export of $2.5 billion, large chunk was from agriculture sector. So whether it was cashew or pigeon pea or spices or soybean, you find that agriculture sector is contributing in a big way into Tanzanian export basket to India. And last year, of course, we added, thanks to my friend, the CEO of Air Tanzania, we added avocado, and we started sending it by air cargo. And now, subsequently, of course, it's now going even by sea cargo. But now, recently I was visiting a avocado producing region called Jombe. So in Jombe region, the producers, they are saying that we are unable to cater to the demand of avocado from India. And the Tanzanian avocado, within a short span of 15 months, has practically taken over the Indian market. Largely, again, thanks to the duty-free tariff preference scheme, because it's not paying any custom duty or GST while the other competitors are paying. So now with Dar es Salaam port logistics being streamlined, I'm sure even direct trade between India and Tanzania would go up. At the moment, we are finding many of Tanzanian export going to India via Mombasa. I think that's going to change very soon. Now, having spoken about the trade and investment side, let me also say my experience of last 2 years. I found many Indian agriculture sector investors coming here, directly from India, coming from Dubai, coming from other areas. People who are coming with financing, they are looking for investment here. I found people coming for investment in contract farming, into edible oil, to fruits, for spices, for avocado. People who are coming for agro processing. Some companies have come with bigger ideas of setting up agriculture-based industrial park, like like I see the name of Arise. I think they have done such projects in some parts of Africa. Of course, we are also into now promoting Indian tissue culture here. Recently, we had big companies from India who met the agriculture minister. They kind of presented about how we can introduce Indian tissue culture advancement into Tanzanian agriculture sector. So I think if I want to give you an impression about how you should look at this market, I would say the relationship between the two countries' agriculture sector is going to deepen. This is a place which has large complementarities, and we can actually work towards linking Indian food security to the agriculture sector development in Tanzania. Fortunately, the government here is largely focused now to promote the agriculture sector, both in terms of bringing more areas into irrigation. Like in India, we have schemes for doubling farmers' income. In Tanzania, they are now having schemes to increase the productivity of agriculture sector, increasing its share in GDP to 10%. So I think this is an area of priority both for government of India, and I'm happy that I'm seeing such a large gathering from India coming to Tanzania for this sector's cooperation. So needless to say that High Commission of India, my head of the commerce wing is also there, Mr. Kumar. We are at your disposal. If you want to use us for your follow-up meetings, you want to use us for your some other verification, we'll be at your disposal. Thank you very much. Let me conclude by thanking the organizers for putting up such a beautiful event here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, sir, for blessing us here at this event with that very insightful address. Ladies and gentlemen, before we proceed further, we have a very humble housekeeping request that you kindly take a moment to turn your phones onto a silent mode, please, so that we do not disrupt the proceedings up on stage. Once again, we'll give you a minute to kindly turn your phone to a silent mode, please. Thank you so very much. And ladies and gentlemen, please do join us now, as we would like to acknowledge the presence of our dignitaries amongst us seated down here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have from the USAID Tanzania, Professor David Nyange. Let's have a big round of applause. Sir, I request you to kindly stand and identify. Here we have Professor David Nyange. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause. Thank you so very much for joining us, sir. We also have from the CEO of Tanzania Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture, Ms. Wamna Hamis Hussein. Let's have a big round of applause. Ma'am, may I request you to kindly rise as there she is. Ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause. Thank you so very much for joining us, ma'am. And we also have the Director of Investment Promotion, Tanzania Investment Center, Mr. John Mnali. I request Mr. John Mnali to kindly rise. There he is. Let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so very much for gracing this occasion here, sir and ma'am. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's now our pleasure to invite up onto the dais Honorable Ms. Anisa Kapufi Mbegera, the High Commissioner, Tanzania to India, our guest of honor, and we request her to kindly give us an address.
A very good afternoon to you all. Thank you so much. Namaste. I'm delighted to be here. And before I proceed with my speech, I was told when I was outside that most of the delegates here from India came from India they've flown with ATCL, the wings of Kilimanjaro. And that is a very, very encouraging news to me as an ambassador, but also to our CEO, Dr. Matindi. Thank you so much for the good work, for promoting ATCL, and I would encourage to continue doing so. We've got a very good service within the flight, and the MC, I noted, he said there was no turbulence at all. Thank you so much for the good remarks. I'm profoundly grateful for inviting me here to attend this conference, and I congratulating the organizing committee for bringing together all the stakeholders to this very important conference. During the upcoming 3 days, I'm sure participants will be able to share experiences and exchange ideas on improving our agricultural productivity, addressing the challenges facing agriculture, food security, and soliciting market for our products between our two countries. As you all know, the world population is averagely 8 billion people, and out of that, the Asian continent alone is estimated to have a population of 4.6 billion. And this tells us that increased agricultural production is necessary for food security for our people. And in order to meet the target of feeding this huge population, research and development on quality, nutritious, high-yielding seeds, and India is very good at that, fertilizers, and pesticides is of paramount importance. There's a need for our institutions in our respective countries to collaborate by agreeing on areas of cooperation through memorandum of understanding. This collaboration is very important, taking into account the technological differences and know-how among the countries. Ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, Indo-Africa relations are deeply rooted. And as the previous speakers noted in their speech, it goes back to the pieces of history. The relation and connection is particularly strong on coastal fronts, and these connections were nurtured by the development of navigations in the Indian Ocean, human contacts, trade, and commerce. That deep connection and experiences. And this is also evident in Tanzania. As you all know, we have a lot of Indian diaspora here, and the influence of food has gone to the local people as well. So we are very familiar with the Indian cuisine. When you ask in Tanzania about Indian cuisine, you can get it anywhere. This goes to show that the two countries are deeply connected, not only on trade, and economic, but also on social aspect as well. India has fully sympathized with the aspirations of the Africans to attain self-reliance. And through that, trade is one of the mechanisms for the transfer of technology embodied in goods and services. India can deeply contribute to the economic development of Africa, and in Tanzania in particular, through the transfer of technology. Tanzania and India, we share a very vibrant, excellent bilateral trade and investment ties. As my previous 2022, it shows that India is the 4th largest trading partner of Tanzania, with a bilateral trade volume of $3.1 billion. India is also a top 5 investment sources in Tanzania, with $3.68 billion worth of investments. And food is one area in which India and Africa import million tons. So there's a deficit of 6 million tons, which is imported from other countries, including Tanzania. And let me...
in agri-food industry from Africa and other countries, local and international delegates, my fellow Tanzanians, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I would like to share my deepest gratitude to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for bringing us together to this important day of the first Afro World Agri Conference, exhibition and award. On behalf of the Minister of Industry and Trade, Dr. Ashatu Kijaji, I would like to congratulate the organizing team for choosing Tanzania to be the host of this global event. Very congratulations. And this is the message from Madam Minister Dr. Ashatu Kijaji. I plead with you to consider bringing it to Tanzania next year as well. I would like to appreciate the organizer of Afro Agri Food Conference Exhibition Award for valuing our Ministry of Industry and Trade by inviting Dr. Ashatu Kijaji, Minister of Industry and Trade, to be the guest of honor to this occasion. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable Dr. Ashatu Kijaji, Minister of Industry and Trade, honored this invitation, but due to the other responsibility that also require her presence, she has instructed me to represent her, and I'm grateful to be with you today. TanTrade is the institution under the Ministry of Investment, Industry and Trade, and it is a statutory organ vested with regulatory, executive, advisory, consultative power of developing and promoting both internal and external trade in Tanzania. So this event is among our responsibility. We are mandated, and I'm very happy, as I say, to be with you with this event. I would like to welcome all the participants from different countries in Africa, from India and other countries. You are very close and our close neighbors and friends. Also, I would like to welcome participants who have traveled thousands of miles to come to this event from Asia, Europe, and everywhere, Tanzania, to come here and visit and take part in this important event and occasion. We have noticed your love to this country, and we look forward to making it hospitable, business as well as investment friendly. I believe from here you will make a time to visit globally acclaimed tourist destinations like Zanzibar and Serengeti and Ngorongoro. Please don't go home without visiting those places. Tanzania is a truly best destination for business and trade. Karibuni sana. Welcome everyone. Tanzania is one of the leading producers of number of agricultural crops in Africa, as mentioned, and one of the top exporters of the same. In other words, Tanzania is a self-sufficient country and an active participant in supplying of food products across the world. This year, Tanzania has shown a good data for production of millions of tons in before previous year. Our last year exports were valued more than 6.8 billion US dollar. A huge amount of it came from export of agricultural commodities. Our buyers have always been coming from Africa, Asia, Europe, and America, especially India. Ladies and gentlemen, Tanzania is a friend of every country and has got a vision of filling the world. To actualize that, the President of Tanzania, Her Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, has heavily invested in agriculture sector by quadrupling the budget of 294 billion US dollar to about trillion shillings in 1 year to agriculture sector, capitalizing on vast land available in the country and growing population. The government launched Building Better Tomorrow initiative, which is the specimen program attending to equip youth and requisite skill in agriculture. You can see how serious our government is with the leading of Madam President. Providing with land and other important input after production, youth and women will be linked with market, and that is the responsibility of our Ministry of Industry and Trade. This program, apart from creating employment to youth, it will settlement and
Namaste, Namaste Tanzania. Dignitaries on the dais, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I thank Taso and Sri Dilip Kavraji for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to speak here. Friends, India Pulses and Grains Association, popularly known as IPGA. We are an apex body of the pulses trade and grains trade and industry in India. We represent about more than 10,000 stakeholders, which includes processors, millers, traders, exporters, importers, service providers, and so on. IPGA regularly interacts with the Government of India on the policy inputs, and we interact with the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Consumer Affairs, Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Food Processing Industry, and so on, and we very closely work with them on the various policy issues. As you know, that India is the largest producer and consumer of the pulses in the world. Of course, we still have a number of challenges. Before I say something about the Indian pulses scenario, I'd like to tell you some of the activities what IPGA is doing. Besides the interaction with the government on a regular basis, we also address number of issues being faced by the trade and industry. Very recently, we started a messaging service which gives the market updates on a daily basis, the updates regarding the mandi prices available across India, the prices prevailing in the various markets of India, the international prices, and this is a very complimentary service. We just started a month back, and I'm glad to announce that we have more than 2,000 stakeholders participated in this. This is a complimentary service. I would urge everyone to join this and take the advantage of this. Besides this, we have been doing regular webinars. Since Corona, it was difficult to organize the physical conferences, so we started the IPGA knowledge series, which are the webinars on the pulses sector mainly, especially. And this has become a very, very popular knowledge series, which we call knowledge series, these webinars. Just recently we had a webinar where we had more than 650 registrations, and we deal with the current issues. the domestic as well as the international issues and the challenges faced by the industry, and what are the solutions, what is the way forward for the industry, what is going to the future for the industry, how the future generation is looking at the industry. So these are the issues being addressed by IPGA in the webinars. We also hold biennial conference, which we had the 6th edition just this February 2023, where we had more than 700 delegates across the globe. We had the ministers from Canada, we had our top government officials, Secretary Consumer Affairs, Agriculture Commissioner, Chairman CACP, and High Commissioner of Canada to India. And of course, Madam V, High Commissioner to Tanzania, we also invited her. I went to Delhi to your office, but I think you were traveling to, you were in Dar es Salaam that time. So, I think when Mr. Dito, he came and participated. So we hold this conference, and these are very, this is, let me tell you, this is one of the largest pulses sector convention anywhere in the world. So, which we do once in 2 years. I will urge my Tanzanian friends and all the friends from across the globe to attend these conventions, because you have all the stakeholders at one platform and you can meet them. Friends, very soon we are going to start some other development programs like IPGA Skill Development Series, IPGA Udyog Vikas Series. IPGA Skill Development to address the issues of the milling industry. And we have approached the government of India for the modernization, gave the requisite fund for the modernization of pulse industry, which is one of the major, as we have more than 10,000 mills in India. So to modernize and make them, to operate them at a larger capacities. So we have urged the government, and we are also going to start a program on the skill development. We are also engaged with the Indian Institute of Pulses Research to develop the crops, to develop the seeds, to improve the yields. And for that, we are facilitating various engagement with the Canadian researchers, with Brazilian researchers, and we just had a MOU with the Ibrafe, which is our counterpart in Brazil, to grow more pulses in Brazil, so that our requirement can be met and we can have a joint collaboration. Food park, and of course we will let you know what are the details in
VIPs from Tanzania and India. Air Tanzania is just in between India and Tanzania to make sure that you do business smoothly. So let me start by saying a very big thank you to our customers, to our passengers from India and from Tanzania who has been using our services. It's you who are making us surviving and flying. As I said, we are facilitating your businesses, and we are here really to make your business a success. That's why we started, I think, by 3 frequencies, and today we have 4. By October, we'll add the 5th one. On top of that, we have now cargo services between India and Tanzania. So when you are talking of business, Air Tanzania is there to facilitate your businesses. We move your businesses between Tanzania and India. And just to tell you more about Air Tanzania, we are really prepared to make your business a success. As I said, we have a number of products, including group fares. I know Tanzania is not yet well known to India, but we are opening up Tanzania to India. When you talk of tourism attraction, I don't know if you can think of any country apart from Tanzania. This is a country where you move just 50 kilometers, in between you'll find something amazing. Wildlife camp, wildlife places, beaches, historical places, and everything which you can dream of when you are away from your businesses. So I will encourage you, business people from India, to go and be ambassadors of Tanzania. I'm sure, as you have been invited by the representative of the minister, that we are not thinking, even come to our mind, that you'll go back home without visiting Kilimanjaro, without seeing by your naked eye the Serengeti, without spending your few hours or days on white sand beaches, Zanzibar, and many, many other attractions in Tanzania. So we welcome you, and Air Tanzania is there to facilitate your travel, is there to make your travel, not only a travel, but really something very comfortable, as I've been told by many of you. I'm sure you have enjoyed your flight to Tanzania. You will enjoy your flight back to India, but you'll enjoy it more if you extend your stay in Tanzania and visit Kilimanjaro, Serengeti, Zanzibar, among others. So thank you again. I thank you very much. Make use of our cargo freighter there. Very good and friendly, considerable fares. So we are here just to make your business flourish. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so very much, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are almost at the conclusion of our inaugural session. May I request Mr. Atul Mundraji and Mr. Dilip Kabraji to kindly felicitate our two chief guests who had just joined us presently. So, to Mr. Ketan Patel. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make it loud, please. And to Mr. Girdhar Pindolia. And to Mr. Girdhar Pindolia, ladies and gentlemen, let's have a big round of applause. And in conclusion to this, may I request all our esteemed dignitaries to kindly come up in front of the stage together with your mementos. Let's have a group photograph together, please. And ladies and gentlemen, we request you all to kindly join in with a thunderous round of applause. What a wonderful session this has been, with so many insights, views, and opinions from all our esteemed dignitaries, industry leaders present right up on stage. Thank you so very much to each and every one of you for all these precious insights and your time amongst. Thank you so very much. A session on food security in Africa and sustainability in agri-food industry. Ladies and gentlemen, our moderator and panelists are right amongst us. This is going to be right at the back. Please do come up in front, take seats closer to the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, a moderator for this session, Ms. Catherine Misigaro, the Director, ENEA Advisor, to kindly join us up on stage. Let's have a big round of applause. As I invite Ms. Catherine Misigaro to kindly join us up on stage. Thank you so very much, ma'am. Round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst us Mr. Sanjay Sethi, Executive Director, Plant-Based Food Industry Association. Let's have a big round of applause and welcome him. Thank you so very much for joining us, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, we also have Mr. G.K. Sood, Independent Director, MIER Commodities, India Private Limited. Let's have a big round of applause and welcome him up on stage, please. Ladies and gentlemen, we have amongst us Mr. David Nyange, Chief of Party, Sarah Bora, Project Party Advisor, Aspires Tanzania. Thank you so very much for joining us. We also have amongst us Miss Mercy Mari, TAFT, Tanzania Association of Food Scientists and Technologists. And may I request her to kindly join us up on stage. Thank you so very much, ma'am. We also have Mr. Israel Haduram Kiyame. May I request him to kindly join us up on stage. And finally, may I invite Mr. Deepak Parekh, sir, to kindly join us up on stage. Thank you so very much, sir, for joining us.
Professor at Michigan State University, secondly back here again to manage a USAID-funded project. My role in this project is mainly to provide advice to the government, particularly working with agriculture sector lead ministries, supporting research and policy reforms. In that process, we help to design programs and strategies, but we conduct also research to advise the government as well as the private sector on how to improve productivity and catalyze agriculture transformation. Next. So next, I'll skip this one because of the limited time, but I would like to share with you a few statistics. I'll just highlight about food security in Tanzania and Africa, the challenges and the opportunities coming out of that for both trade and investment. And then I'll talk about how Tanzania is positioning itself to become a food basket for Africa. Next. Next again. Okay, so as it was mentioned earlier, agriculture contributes about almost a third of Tanzania's GDP, but it also employs 2/3 of the population. Currently, the sector is really undergoing rapid transformation. I've been in this sector for many years. We see the rise, especially of medium-scale farms, and also revitalization of commercial farms, hand in hand with also transformation happening at smallholder farmers. For many years, the farm size has been about 2.3 hectares per farmer, but now we see farmers with over 5 hectares contributing almost 25%. And almost 42% of the total cultivated land now has moved into medium-scale farms. And as you all understand, it's the middle class that is really catalyst for transformation. Also, in the transformation, we see food becoming more purchased. So there's some degree of specialization, farmers growing horticulture and buying cereals from the market. But we also see value addition, particularly processing. In the past, there used to, for example, in cereals, to be multitude of hammer mills, but now they are disappearing with more kind of consolidation into medium and large processing plants. This is an opportunity for investment, particularly bringing the Indian technology to Tanzania. But we also see, I would say, food becoming more perishable, more consumption of fruits, consumption of vegetables. We see also consumption of protein, which also an opportunity, particularly for investment in poultry, as well as dairy and beef sector. Next. So this is just a snapshot of food insecurity in Tanzania. As you are aware, the triple impact of COVID-19 pandemic, the climate change, and the Russia-Ukrainian war has really exposed the vulnerability to Africa. So all these number of people that are food deficient, and you can see Tanzania is almost an island. Here I'm just focusing on East, Central, and Southern Africa, not here. So as you can see, 90 million people in this coming season will be food deficient. So this a crisis, but is also an opportunity for the agricultural sector. And you can see the numbers by yourself. Next. As it was shared earlier about the common problem between Asia and Africa is also issue of stunting, and this is an opportunity. Tanzania has made quite a great progress in the last 20 years. I would say in the last 20 years, Tanzania has been food self-sufficient with a surplus of about 15 to 20%, of which is exported regionally and internationally, especially pulses. But however, I would call this a marginal surplus. So the current strategy is to make sure that Tanzania exceeds surplus over 50% so that it can trade comfortably. With this marginal surplus, we can only trade, I'd say, cautiously. Next. These are what I've already mentioned, the ongoing crisis. Next, because of limited time. Next, please. Okay, so the new strategy is just building upon recent successes. For example, in the cropping season 2021, on food commodities alone, Tanzania exported commodities worth almost $1.1 billion, more than the traditional export. When I talk about traditional export, I mean cashew nut, coffee, cotton, tea, and others. But these are mainly cereals, pulses, and oilseed. As you can see, maize. In fact, in this season, from the minister's speech this week, this season we exported more than 400 tons of maize, rice more than 350,000 tons. So quite a rapid increase. Beans, in that season of almost 500,000 tons. So in total, almost 1.5 million tons of pulses, cereals, and oilseed. And you can see the destination market, and there's really an opportunity for investment, further investment in this sector. Next. So this is just to show Tanzania is one of the leading producers of cereals in the region. You can see almost 30 countries in Eastern and Southern Africa. Next. Okay, here we're talking about the dry beans. Dry beans, you can see on the far end, Tanzania is one of the leading producers with the yellow bar there, over 1.2 million tons of dry beans. Next. Tanzania is also a leader in production of pulses and oilseeds. Take, for example, of sesame. In 2017, Tanzania led globally in export of sesame. Also look at the sunflower, groundnut. Okay, soybean has started at a very low base, but we see increased production of soybean at smallholder farmers as well as of commercial farms. Next. Okay, in addition to export, there's also an opportunity for import substitution. Tanzania annually imports almost 1.2 million tons of wheat and edible oil worth over $270 million and sugar. But gradually, because of increased investment in the sector, you can see imports are decreasing in terms of volume as well as in terms of value. Next. So this is just a summary of the key food imports, which are wheat, edible oil, and sugar. One of the challenges for the edible oil is that the production of oilseed, besides being looked as one of the leading producers, but it cannot suffice the processing capacity. So there's an opportunity to invest in production. Next. So this is wheat. So what I'm going just to summarize, one of the current strategies is to improve agriculture productivity. Agriculture productivity in Tanzania is still very low. For cereals, it's about 1.2 tons per hectare, average, even for pulses as well as oilseed. So within the current strategy is at least by 2030, we should be able to double that productivity. And to double productivity, there are three elements that need to be addressed. First, use of improved seed. Second, use of fertilizer. With fertilizer, only 21% of farmers are using fertilizer. And out of almost 12 million hectares cultivated, is only 1.5 million hectares that fertilizer is applied. So there's an initiative to promote investment in fertilizer manufacturing. Tanzania has natural gas, about 52 trillion cubic feet of natural gas, which is about to be harnessed, and there's an opportunity to invest in manufacturing of ammonia. And this can be an opportunity also for investment here in Tanzania. So currently, as our project, we are in the process to develop a pre-feasibility study to look at some of the options which are available, and we hope sometimes later in the year we might convene an investment forum to potential investors in fertilizer manufacturing. In the past 10 years, there have been a number of companies that have shown interest to invest in this sector, but negotiations could not be concluded. There are a number of issues that needs to be addressed, and we are working with that in collaboration with the government to address them. So to make seed available, the government has really invested recently in research and also in state farms for seed multiplication. And currently we are developing a parallel initiative for the private sector, which will be targeting, how many minutes? Okay. Which will be targeting the medium-sized enterprises. So currently we are doing kind of a quick analysis to identify, to profile these farms. Based on the national survey, there are about 1,200 commercial farms. The average farm size is about 400 to 500 hectares. But what we discovered during the visit we had recently, most of these possess lands of 2,000 hectares. So they are underutilized. And in this strategy which we are developing, we are aiming at targeting 150 commercial farms. Each one will develop 1,000 hectares. So a combined of 300 or 150,000 hectares. The major product will be seed, to make sure that seed is available, both OPV and hybrid. But these farms can also produce directly cereals, pulses, and oilseed. With this initiative, we hope to increase, first of all, to double production of all these groups which I have highlighted earlier, and therefore an opportunity for export, increasing production in pulses, etc. So what are the opportunities for Indian investors? Opportunities, first, getting to partnership with these commercial farms. These are farmers that have over 20 years of experience. What they are lacking is capital and technology, so there's an opportunity for partnership. We looked at issues of land tenure and security. Most of these have title deeds, which is an indication for security of land tenure. And we are developing a business model based on some of the successes that we see in the field. Currently, there's several farms which have really succeeded in producing a wide range of cereals, pulses, and oilseed. For example, they produce maize, they produce a variety of these legume crops. Okay, thank you very much. These farms need to invest in 5 areas. One is farm machinery, which is also an opportunity for bringing Indian technology in farm machinery and implements. In storage facilities, particularly bulky handling, such as silos, and and also in center pivot irrigation system. So this is a common practice that we see. So on the 4th of September, we'll be having a regional conference here, and we'll be sharing this, and we'll be sharing the link so you can log in and participate online to see all these opportunities. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We have a time regulation, so each speaker requests between 5 to 6 minutes only, please. Thank you. Go ahead.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and thank you, Dr. Nyange, for that brilliant presentation. I think we have a lot to say because there was just a lot of facts and data. So I want to invite everyone to introduce yourself and just mention any key insights you found from the presentation that you'd want to elaborate on.
I would actually request Vijay Bhai to just ask those key questions, since you're the most experienced on this subject, to each of the speakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. This is a very vital issue, and unfortunately time is very less. So I will go one by one to all the speakers with a very pointed question. Let me start with Mr. Sood. Sir, you have seen the presentation, plus you know the ground reality and trade between India and Africa, and we are talking about food security. Which are the 2 or 3 important key points which you feel Africa should focus on to ensure food security and also to consider trade interest with India?
Thank you very much, Vijay. After this brilliant presentation,
With the volume, please, of the mic.
let me just highlight a few things which are very well known. African food situation and nutrition level shouldn't be where it is. It should be much better. It should be the food basket of the world. It has the potential. 65% of the global arable land, and of course, there are variations in agroclimatic zones. There are some recent climate change effects also. But within that, you have such a huge potential. And and yet the poverty levels are very high, malnutrition levels are very high. We have very low density of population, varying from about 80 to, the average is 49. And so I think we should go by the Indian experience, a lot of parallels. India is diverse in climate and weather and soil condition. Strong research is required, agricultural education and extension work, and investment in infrastructure. The limited half a day that we have had here, I found that institutions need to be built for intervention in marketing and support. The farmers are left to be selling to the trade, and sometimes the benefit is not transmitted to them. And there's a lot of information asymmetry. Even the stock markets are not very robust, what to speak of starting the commodity market. So there should be growth towards futures markets in commodities. And well, I think within this panel, and also Chandrasekhar who couldn't attend, there is sufficient expertise to be able to at least give a blueprint, I think, under Mr. Vijay Sardara's leadership. And it should be possible to highlight the key points, the basic markers on which then the governments can develop the agenda. I'm indeed very, very optimistic that in fact, in many commodities, all other countries in the world are coming to the limit of expansion. They have to be only growing vertically. And so here we have vast tracts of land unutilized, underutilized, and so on. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you have picked up a very important point of that market-related institutions we have to focus on. Coming back to Mr. Sethi, to you, what do you think that when it comes to the challenges on food security between Africa and India, which are the areas where there can be a possible collaboration between the two sides? One area which is picked up by Sudsab is that market and related institutions. What are your thoughts on focus areas?
If you look at what is that Africa lacks today, in terms of the food security, we always say there is a lot of land here in Africa to farm. Actually, it is not. Because when you go and cut those jungles and try to farm, there will be a whole lot of civil society, NGOs issues which will come up, and you will not be able to get that. So, African agriculture is very much like India, smallholders. And it will continue to be for a very long time. All the big companies who will try to take the land and grab the land here, it is not going to work out. And it has not worked out in the past also. So that means the infrastructure has to be very pointed. And if you see, Africa, like India, also imports a lot of carbs, whether it is wheat or rice or whatever. But why not see Bimal Bhai said, IPGA said that grow more pulses for India. But I'm saying not only for India, for yourself also. Discover the value of the sweet, amazingly tasting pulses. If you are fed up of pulses, then grow more soybean and import soybean instead of wheat and rice. So what would happen? You would be able to have just 20% or 18% of edible oil in soybean, but double of that, about 36, 38, or even 40% of proteins. And that is what is needed for people here, because then just stunting and all those nutritional security issues which are being talked about, that will be solved. If you see, Africa has got amazing potential of resources which can be grown. India has amazing resources of manpower and technology. But both the countries do not have surplus funding, but that the neighboring Middle East has. So a three-way tie-up where we could provide certain food to Middle East, both India and Africa together can actually make a world of its own and solve this problem. Plant-based foods has a solution to tomorrow's problem. If you will continue to consume meat, like meat consumption in India is rising, so is rising here. But if you will continue to consume that, you will need far more land for the fodder, which you don't have that land. So what would be the best possible solution? That you move the consumption, which is increasing for meat, towards plant-based, so that you are able to save a lot of resources and environmental impact. So India and Africa both should work together, creating the kind of infrastructure and right kind of ecosystem for increasing the consumption of plant-based foods.
Thank you, Sanjay. I think a very vital point that don't even look at exports, but also take care of nutritional security in your own land. That is also extremely vital. I'll come to now, Deepak, to you on the whole issue, because from a trade point of view, what you see that which are the areas where Indian trading community and Tanzanian or African trading community can cooperate, so that the challenges which is raised by Sud Saab and Sanjay, that productivity enhancement, so that there is a surplus, then you can do both domestic requirement and also trade. So what are the areas you feel one should intervene?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Vijayji. Pretty interesting question. So definitely our trade is one very important aspect, because cross-border trade, cross-continent trade are very important. And I believe for food security of not just Africa, but also India, East Africa is very important. Definitely you cannot cut trees and grow food, but definitely you can increase the productivity. And I believe the traders who are attending this conference here don't see it just an opportunity to buy tuar. See it a little bit more holistically and see an opportunity where we can invest in Africa, specifically Eastern Africa, for a long-term goal of achieving more productivity here. We are having only 2 institutions which are generating good type of seed for whole of Africa, of CGIAR, which is CIMIT and International Institute of Tropical Agriculture. Why can't our institutions who are doing such a good research ensure that those technologies are transferred here, and the trader community can play a very vital role in doing those investments? Just think about instead of growing 200,000 metric tons of tuar, if East Africa with enhanced productivity just by 30% start growing 300,000 tons, right? You will have a lot of value for India as well as for Africa. So that's one part. Secondly, we were talking about infrastructure and investment in infrastructure, and Sir said very interesting aspect about Middle East is having money, they can rope in. But at the same time, I believe that the Indian trader community who are all attending here, if I put all their net worth together, they are having sufficient money to make those investment in infrastructure here as well. What is the logic of 50% of cashew production in Western Africa going all the way to Vietnam and India, right? With so much of logistic cost, getting processed and then exported to US, right? A good cashew processing facility just costs you $500,000, right? Which is not a big amount of money. So I believe that there are a lot of areas of opportunity where trader industry, if they start looking beyond the transactional aspect doing trade with Africa, but taking a long-term approach, it would, I believe, give a lot of results. And there are thousands of hectares of land available in this part of the world, which can be cultivated with modern Indian technology and we'll have a world which would be more food safe, secured, right? And that is what I would say. And I would also like, I've been traveling to Africa for past at least a decade. So I always love quoting this thing whenever I speak in Africa. I'm an African because not I was born in Africa, but because Africa was born in my heart. Thank you.
Thank you, Deepak. Now, when we are talking about technology and investments, we have an interesting panelist, Dr. Mercy, here with us. She works in the area of research and development in Africa. Mercy, I will ask you that what you feel when it comes to the food security challenges in Africa. And we all know that there are two issues. One is the productivity, which every speaker has mentioned and highlighted. What is happening in Africa to enhance, productivity? That is one. And second, what are the learnings which you are looking at India? Because we have made a lot of mistakes. We are now rectifying. Which are the areas where you feel that Indian scientific community and trading community should play a role with Africa? So two questions to you. What is happening at research level when it comes to increasing productivity? And where are the possible collaborations between India and Africa?
Thank you. Thank you so much. My name is Mercy Mari. I'm a food processing specialist and the chairperson for the Tanzania Association of Food Scientists and Technologists. And regarding the question number one, maybe before going directly to the question, I think the main problem that is happening here is our focus is on food as an agricultural commodity, but our focus on food as a basic human right, as a prerequisite to human health, is being left aside. So this all is bringing a lot of complication when it comes to food security and nutrition security. That's why you see a country have a surplus in terms of production, but then at the same time there is malnutrition levels that are happening as the data has been displayed. So regarding the research and what I feel like can be the addition when it comes to the productivity, I think the first thing is to have the data-driven production. When we are going to the production field, then it shouldn't be that just because there is this kind of crop growing here, it should be grown, but data-driven. What kind of nutrients are needed in India when it's coming to invest in Tanzania? What kind of crops will be informed from that angle? So I feel like data-driven agriculture is one of the areas, apart from other areas that have been spoken of, or technology and others. But another thing that I feel to be one of the very important areas is the area of food safety. We cannot talk of food security without talking about food safety. So this is the matter that is normally left out of the question. And we have a lot of food that is going to the bins just because it is not safe. With the current force and pressure on raising productivity, we are ending up with a food which is contaminated with different kind of contamination, starting from the chemicals, the pesticide, and all other forms. So the food safety aspect is one of the areas that I feel needs to be strengthened. And looking at India, India is one of the areas that I feel like they have a very strong food safety management systems. We have seen in terms of expertise, in terms of technology, but also in terms of government, the policies are in place when it comes to food safety. That is very different from when you come to Africa, because our food safety management systems are still very primitive. Looking at the Tanzania, for instance, at the moment, we still don't have the food safety policy in the government. So you see that kind of gap, even if you start with the exports and trade, and then you don't have the food safety policy in place, you find that you're having the gap. So I feel like that's another area where the strength can be to ensure that when we are now increasing the productivity, when the Indians are coming in and to invest, at the end of the day, we are having the food that is enough, but also it is safe for consumption, because it's not just the agricultural commodity, but it's the prerequisite for human health, and that gives us a second eye to consider it very closely.
Let me supplement what Dr. Mercy is saying. Lately, the largest number of SPS TBT notifications related to food quality and services are issued by East African bloc. It's amazing. Every week I monitor all the notifications issued by WTO member countries, and I can tell you lately in last 6 months, the maximum number of notifications emerged from Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya. This is a whole block of 5-6 countries. So it's not that the countries are like in primitive. They are changing laws and standards very rigorously. And if you are in trading interest, please monitor them. And they are aligning them with international norms. So it's no more a backward zone when it comes to food standards. So that one has to keep in mind. Now, may I request Catherine, from your point of view, would you like to add something to what should be done from food security point of view between India and Africa?
I think what I want to contribute is the part of investment. So how are we going to realize this import substitution? How are we going to supply this food to neighboring countries? 90 million people who are food insecure. We need to have an investment ecosystem that actually targets agriculture. Right now, there are loans that are available at the bank, but entrepreneurs or farmers are still not able to access this because the restrictions are still too high. 17%, going back down to 14% is still not enough, while other countries like India are more competitive in providing farmers the necessary credit they need to use the right seeds, have even like be able to clear land, enough land. Clearing just 1 acre of land, if you want to do it within 1 day, it might cost you up to $400. And if you don't have that amount of money, it will take you 3 months. And that's just a big bill to pay in order to be able to be more productive and be able to supply to more people. Another area of investment is the logistics part. If we're now moving to more perishable crops, as Dr. Nyange's presentation displayed, we need to also invest in cold technologies in order to make sure that the food actually arrives there in the quality that is required. Even if you're exporting it to another country, it still needs to be intact. So those are the areas that I think investors, Indian investors, local investors should look at, but also policymakers should ensure that there's an enabling environment in order to realize this ambitious goal.
I think in a very short time we have covered virtually every dimension. Yeah.
Half a point.
Yeah, please.
Well, I would just want to pinpoint one number and one comment. The number is that in terms of staples, not even to speak of protectional food or nutritional food, whole of Africa imports about half of its wheat and rice. And considering that several of the countries are growing very fast in the last 5 years. To take an example, the growth in Tanzania itself has been very, very remarkable in the last 5 years. 5 years they've added 40% of GDP, and from something like 45 to 85 billion dollars. So there is a strong income elasticity of demand for staples at the level at which the consumption in Africa is. Because one report I was reading that 1 in 5 Africans sleep hungry. So imagine the number of, the volume of demand which will go up by sheer increase in population and incomes, and it will be exponential. So I'm not talking here of meeting somebody else's demand. It is your own demand, and it's all there. We have, as I mentioned earlier, lived from ship to mouth, and not very long ago, that when I was growing up. And now we are occasional exporters. We used to be an export of wheat and or no export, and structural exporters of rice. So there's a lot to learn, as you mentioned about food standards, even in the research path that we have gone through. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sud sir. So let me conclude by just highlighting 2-3 important points here. Please do not, I'm requesting my African friends here, don't make the mistakes which we have made in India. What we have done is we have created food security by destroying our natural resources. Our soil health is going down, water bodies are going down, water table is going down. Learn from mistakes of others. Because definitely India is going to work on how to rectify the mistakes. But Africa is fortunate. You have not spoiled your natural resources. So design a food security policy while conserving natural resources. You will always have a market. India is going to be 1.66 billion by 2047. 70% edible oil we are importing. Today, pulses we are virtually hand to mouth. We don't have surplus, whatever government of India claims. And with every passing year, the way demand is changing, India will always have an import dependency when it comes to pulses. So Africa is a natural source where we can buy from. So Indian industries can invest because we don't have land in India. With rising population, demand for every crop will increase. So there is not going to be surplus land for anything. So when you are looking for natural resources, which is soil and water for food security, you have to look at Africa as a partnership game. So my request to the long-term players, fly-by-night operators, short-term traders, they have a different way of thinking. But those who really want to have a long-term game, think of partnership between India and Africa, because Africa itself is a market and India will remain a market. So this investment will not be waste. So think from that angle. Food security challenges are both sides. Both sides are going to increase the per capita income, means food challenges will increase. And that is my request. That is a great opportunity. This forum can be a great platform to build partnerships. Think it over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All the panelists, big round of applause. May I invite Mr. Suvir Purohit, Tasso Events, who has organized this entire event, to kindly help in acknowledging our speakers, along with Mr. Samir Ismail of AfriSan, please. Thank you. Mr. Samir Ismail, may I invite you on the stage? Suvir sir, may I invite you on the stage? Dilip ji, aap aiye, please. Thank you. We'll first acknowledge Ms. Catherine Misigaro for being our moderator. Please accept a small token. Come on, hello. Okay, first to Ms. Catherine Misigaro. Thank you very much. Big round of applause, please. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Ms. Mercy Mari, please, may I invite you. Kindly accept a token of our appreciation. Ms. Mercy Mari, thank you very, very much. May I invite Mr. David Nyange, please, to kindly accept a token of our appreciation. Thank you, Mr. David Nyange. Thank you. May I invite Mr. Israel Haduram Kiame, please. You're not here, okay. May I invite Mr. Sanjay Sethi, please, to accept a token of our appreciation. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. May I invite Mr. Parikh, please, to kindly accept a token of appreciation. Thank you very much, Mr. Parikh, for standing in for Mr. Chandrasekhar. Thank you. And finally, may I invite the one and only Mr. Vijay Saldana, please, to kindly accept a token of our appreciation. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Mr. G.K. Sood, how can I forget you? May I invite the Honorable, the very senior Mr. G.K. Sood, sir, to kindly come and accept a token of our appreciation. May I invite all the panelists to kindly come in the front for a group photograph. Thank you very much as we move on to our next panel. We are delayed, but it happens in all conclaves and conferences. Come on, big round of applause for the organizers, for the panelists, for the specialist moderator, Ms. Catherine Misigaro. Thank you very, very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We're moving on to our next panel, and that is Business Session 2, panel discussion on market trends in cashew. May I invite Mr. Niladri Chaudhary, ETG, please, on the stage. Mr. Niladri Chaudhary ji, are you here? May I invite Mr. Vasudev Kamat Mangla Cashew on the stage, please. Vasudev ji, may I invite you on the stage. Thank you. Warm welcome to you, sir. May I invite Mr. Deepak Parikh, please, to kindly come and join us. Mr. Deepak Parikh, Deepak Bhai. Mr. Rajiv Papreja, Commodity Trading, may I invite you on the stage, please. Rajiv ji. Mr. Rajiv Papreja. Thank you. May I invite Mr. Deepak Parikh, please. Mr. John, going to be difficult, Kundwana Bakay of Tanzania Association of Cashew Processors. May I invite you on stage. Thank you, sir. And to moderate this, may I invite Mr. Odox Rukonge, please. Yeah, Mr. Odox Rukonge, thank you, sir. Thank you. I would like to advise all our panelists, our speakers and our moderator that each of you will have 5 minutes. So I request you, anybody has got a PPT, a PowerPoint, so you'll have totally 5 minutes for everything. Thank you. So Mr. Odox Rukonge, so please start, you are the moderator. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Odox Rukonge, and I'm the Managing Director with Agri Invest Company Limited. I'll be moderating this session. Together with me is 4 men panelists. And without much ado, I think we'll need to invite Mr. Rajiv to make a presentation, and then we'll have a panel discussion after that. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello. A very happy, crunchy and nutty evening to all my dear friends. I'll be talking all about nuts, nuts and nuts. I'll be giving you an overview on focus on basically nuts and then on cashew. Slide 2, please. I'll be covering topics like total world production in tree nuts, world consumption tree nuts, cashew production and consumption, cashew consumption, trends and mega trends in India, cashew trends in African processing, industry challenges and how to prepare for the future ones, need of bundling the grades and what are the benefits. Next slide, please. World tree nut production has followed a rising trend over the last decade. Total production is approximately 5.3 million metric ton in 2022-23 season. Total production increased by 60% in last one decade, that is 2013 to 2023. Between 2013 to 2014 and 2022-23 season, global tree nut production grew at an average rate of approximately 250,600 metric ton per year. Next slide, please. If you see in crop year 2022-23, almonds and walnuts accounted for almost 27% and 22% of global production, respectively followed by cashew, that is 20%, pistachios 14%, hazelnut 11%, pecans, macadamias, pine nut and Brazil nut together accounted for remaining 6%. The highest annual growth rate has been seen in last year was in walnuts and macadamias, followed by cashews, that is 7%. Pistachios and pecan grew up at an average 5% per annum, while almonds and hazelnuts grew at the annual rate of 3%. Now I'll show you the world tree nuts. What is the consumption? Almonds and walnuts were the mostly widely consumed tree nuts in the 2022, accounting for almost 31% and 21% of the world share. Cashew, pistachios and hazelnut ranked second, third and fourth, accounting for 19%, 15% and 11% of the consumption. Asia was the top consuming region, 32% of the consumption, followed by Europe, which is 31%, North America 20%, consumption in Middle East amounted to estimate 12% of the global trade. Next slide, please. Now I'll come to cashews, which is the main focus. Total crop almost same as last year, that is 5 million metric ton, and almost 90% is produced in Northern Hemisphere and 50% is produced in Western Africa countries, and almost 25% is produced in Ivory Coast, that is Cote d'Ivoire. Next slide. If you see this slide, that's a very interesting slide. More than 50% of raw cashew nut is produced in Africa, and the majority of it is exported in the form of raw cashew nut only, not in the processed form. This is a chart showing each and everything, where it is produced and how it is moving around. Next slide, please. Now, this is what is the production trend? Africa fast growing, but not slow, almost slow and almost stagnant. Then India, growth is almost negligible. It has been stable for many years. Vietnam, there is no growth. If you can see the diagram. Cambodia is the main driver force. Even from last 4 or 5 years, Cambodia has doubled their production. Next slide, please. New trends in African processing. Cashew processing volumes have doubled in Africa since 2018. Ivory Coast leads the African Transformation Initiative. 2023, Benin will be significantly increasing positions. Volume Nigeria, Tanzania, Mozambique and Burkina are the line to increase their volume. Out of 10 processing plants which are coming up, or new investment coming in West Africa. Next slide. Now I'll be telling what are the challenges. One is the impact of rising cost and living cost, but we have to teach everybody cashew is not only for luxury, it is a healthy item, so we should keep eating it. Maturity stage in Europe, but we have to keep pushing it that the Europe market remains stable. Then we have to read and understand the cashew crop. We don't have to take too much of risk when we are importing, and we have to calculate how much risk we can take. New RCN trade, good sign, new investors are coming, but we have to be careful. Who are those? Government interventions are there, but a lot of restrictions and challenges are there, but we have to keep a track of what are the changing rules. Logistics issues are there in the crops. Lot of strikes and port closures are there, but then also we have to be very see what is going, and we have to put in the contract the terms and conditions. Price margins are very low, so we have to be very competitive. And other nuts, especially like almonds, walnuts, and pistachios, are giving a lot of competition to the cashews. This is more like bundling of cashews. We should reduce. We have so many sizes. If we reduce to 4 bundles, then it will be a big benefit. Next slide, please. See, if we bundle the sizes, it will make it easy for the factory, and we will be saving 15 to 20 cents. And quantity specific and handling will be much cheaper. Acceptability in e-commerce and wholesale trade. Turnaround time will be very less. And in the peak time, factory can produce more of cashews. What are the benefits of low grade consumption? That looks bigger in comparison because we are making only 3 or 4 sizes. Availability of stock will be easier and easy to handle because you don't have to handle so many sizes, and comparatively cheaper than the old grading system. Now a very big question. Imagine, now what I am trying to show is what is the potential. This slide shows what is the potential. Total 5 million nut of RCN is produced. That means we are producing 1 million kernel equivalent. That means 35,264 million ounce of kernels. 1 ounce is approximately 20 cashews. That means on a 320 basis, world population is 8 billion. Just I am saying 5% of the population eats half ounce. That means 10 cashews per day. Only 5%. That means 400 million people, and just half ounce, that means 200 million ounces can be consumed per day. So we can imagine with this basis, we can consume our product in just how many days? In 176 days. We can eat everything. The calculation shows very clear. Now a question for the audience. That's a very interesting question. That if the 50% of the world consumes only 1 nut, that means 1 gram almost. How many days we can finish the world crop? Anybody can answer how many days? Whole of the world crop can be finished if we eat 1 nut. If only 50% of the crop is 1 nut in a day. Just 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks we can complete and finish the world product if everybody eats, half of the population eats just 1 nut in a day. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Patel. It's very clear in terms of production that we are seeing a trend in terms of increased production. But at the same time, actually, the increase in the processing within Africa and probably in many other parts of the world. So in those lines, and I think I would like to invite Mr. Mangala, Mr. Kamath from Mangala Cashew Industries to pick it up from where Mr. Rajib ended in terms of what are we seeing in Tanzania in terms of production capacity and processing capacity, and where are the gaps that we can also be able to fill into the industry.
Hello. Hello. Hi. Good evening, everyone. First of all, my hearty gratitude to the expert and management of the delegation for the conducting this international event in Tanzania and giving me an opportunity to speak few words in this conference. I, Mr. D. Vasudev Kamath, representing Mangala Cashew Industries from India, welcome one and all gathered here for this delegation from different part of the world. Now, my good friend already informed a lot of information to you people, but I want to spend some time regarding our cashew business in India as well as in Africa, rest of the world. As you know, cashew is the king of nuts. The cashew tree is tropical season, native from Brazil, South America. In the scientific name is Anacardium. Cashew nuts are rich in fiber, protein and healthy fats. They also contain a variety of vitamin mineral, and health prospective beneficial plant compounds. Similarly, cashew also help to control health metabolism, including weight loss, blood and sugar control, heart and health. Secondly, satisfying as a snack, topping, or a sauce and butter, the cashew is beloved to all the people around the world for its usefulness and its rich flavor, and also called a table nut. I feel proud to say that I am dealing in cashew business since 40 years. I would like to share my knowledge and experience regarding cashew trading and processing in India and the rest of the world. Cashew processing is highly labor intensive, agro-based, and also long history of employing a large number of workers, especially female laborers. But however, at present, the cashew industry has been highly modified with modern technology, trying to increase the production to meet the demand of the growing population throughout the world. In India, over 60% of the raw cashew nut requirement is met through import. Various African countries like Ivory Coast, Benin, Tanzania, Ghana, Bissau, due to which there is a collaboration with African countries. The total quantity of import of raw cashew nut had touched 2 million tons during the year 2022. There are around 4,000 cashew processing units in India, providing employment to thousands of people. India is one of the leading producer, processor and exporter of cashew in the world. Maharashtra, Kerala and Karnataka are the primary producers of cashew along with the western coast of the country, while Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu and West Bengal are primary producer along the eastern coast. I feel proud to say that Tanzania is one of the leading producer and exporter of raw cashew nut in the world cashew market. And Tanzania nuts have a wide demand throughout the year, throughout the world also. The world total raw cashew crop is around 5.5 million ton, out of which 1.2 million ton from Cambodia and Vietnam, over 0.7 million metric ton from India, over 0.5 million MT from East African country like Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya and Madagascar, and over 2.5 million metric ton from West African country like Ivory Coast, Ghana, Benin, Togo, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, Bissau and Gambia, etc. are the countries who are the producer of raw cashew nuts. Regarding processing of raw cashew nut, 2.5 million MT is processed in Vietnam and around 2 million metric ton in India, and rest of the world including Tanzania, Mozambique, Kenya, Ivory Coast, Benin, Nigeria and Burkina Faso is processing around 1 million metric ton. Highest cashew consumption country in the world are India, USA, Europe and Middle East countries. However, due to the worldwide spread COVID pandemic, the demand and consumption of cashew kernel has declined, and present the total production of cashew nuts is 1 million metric ton more than the demand. As a result, there is a recession in the market. Further hike in the rate of the currency used in international standard, another serious drawback for the recession. climate change also is major role. So totally, at present, it has been very difficult for the raw cashew nut processor to survive and continue. Raw cashew nut processing has now become a very risky business due to sudden crash in the market price of raw cashew nut as well as cashew kernel. However, let us all be positive and hope for the good and profitable business in coming future. Once again, I thank you one and all assembly here for the giving me opportunity to speak few words regarding cashew production process in India and rest of the world. Thank you one and all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kamal. And now it's my pleasure to welcome Mr. John from Tanzania Cashew Association of Processors. I think you talking notes should also be able to tell us in terms of the processing capacity of Tanzania is around 10% of what you produce. And probably in doing so, we are also losing a lot of opportunities in terms of employment, but also in terms of foreign exchange. And more so actually in terms of what technologies do we need to import in Tanzania to help us process, but also add value and produce other byproducts from the kernel itself. Karibu.
Thank you. My name is John Joseph Kundonabake. I'm Secretary of Tanzania Association of Cashew Nut Processor. I'm a personal processor with 10 years of experience in the field. Thank you, Mr. Audax, for the question. I think in Tanzania, before moving to actually we need technology, but before moving to that technology, we have a number of challenges. Actually, we have, as a TCP, we have solved a number of challenges which actually hinders the local processing. As you can remember, I'm sure Mr. Director of Mangalo, you understand, but since 2005, once we introduced this warehouse receipt system, actually local processing crashed. But the focus of the government was to increase RSN production, because around that time we were producing less than 40,000 metric ton per annum. But after introduction of warehouse receipt system, actually the RSN production grow up to we reached our peak on 2017. We reached our peak at the production of 320,000 metric ton per annum. So, but right now the government is pushing. We have changed the policy of accessing raw material. We now have a primary market window for local processors. Also, we have the reduction of the tax on importing machinery and the packaging material. And also, the government also allow the contract farming, organic farming, and the fair trade program. So that actually improved actually boosted from, because on the year 2019, 2018, we were about 3% of the production. But this year, we hope, we are collecting data now, but we expecting to reach at around 8% to 9% of the total production. So coming to your question about the technology, you know, in Tanzania we're not importing raw material. So the harvested cashew on the December and August, I mean from September to February, is the same cashew which we need to process throughout the year. That's the challenge. So before looking at the technology, you have to look on the awareness of the farmer. They have to be aware that the uses of what are the uses of raw material of the RSN. If Indian and the Vietnamese are exporting, what are they going to do with that RSN? Because some of the people, they preach that RSN price should keep on increasing every day. But since 3 seasons ago, we witnessed the decrease on the RSN prices. And that's the challenge. That's the biggest challenge to farmers. So as a TSCP, we thought that is a good move to go for total inclusion from the farmer. The farmer should understand what are they growing, what are the qualities is needed, and what is the uses of raw material. Because some of the farmer, we come to understand that they don't know if the RSN is spotted, what are they going to do with that. So now, actually, most of the farmer, they are now understanding what are the quality needed, because we encourage even them, they should start with the primary production. So some of the factories are now buying semi-processed from the farmer and the small processors. Then that is a successful move. Then we now going for the technology. We're now using primitive technology, which was introduced in India at the year 1987. That is currently used in Tanzania. But as far as our production is concerned, we need more reliable market. So yeah, so we need more reliable market. So I should argue my friend from India, they should think about importing at least semi-processed cashew nut from Tanzania, so that we can create more opportunity for Tanzania, and also we can supply them with they can be assured with the availability of kernel for the year consumption, because they know that they consume a lot. Then once we succeed with that, then we can move for technology, because we have the market, we have the demand, then we can go for technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And probably the next speaker, you may be able also to touch on a little bit on this. In terms of if for the last 3 seasons, the market for RCN, the price has almost been the same. Do you think it is the right time for investors to invest onto processing, local processing in terms of the fruit itself, where we can also get wine from it, and also other products from it, even before getting the kernel, the RCN itself, the fruit. We call it mabibo in Swahili, the bibo itself, producing wine, and probably at some point also squeezing the liquid from the shell itself. Does it also give some additional income to farmers, or what should be done by the end of the day? So I would like to invite our next panelist for some insights. Karibu.
Actually, बैठ के फोटो खिंचवा ली थी, अब खड़े होके खिंचवाने का है. So a very interesting question. I would like to deviate a little bit from because we have been talking around and around about some few things. I believe a lot of people here would be interested to know one thing, and I'll be speaking in English and a little bit of Hindi. काजू का भाव बढ़ेगा कि गिरेगा? Right. So the question is that, do we see that the price of cashew in short and medium term going up or down? That would decide a lot of things, whether what sort of investments are being done, why they are done. So that is one aspect I would like to touch a bit in a couple of minutes. And another aspect is that sustainability of cashew industry and the type of challenges faced by labor in cashew industry, right? We cannot just focus on the farmers, the traders. We have to also focus on the people who are involved in processing those cashew. It is a hazardous task, we all know, and by not investing in technology, what we are doing is that we are putting our, I'll say that, innocent labor in the hardship. Only after 6 years, 7 years of doing the processing of the cashew, they come to know that actually what has impacted on their own health. So it's very important we have to focus on that aspect. Now coming to very important part, I'll say that, where do we see the prices of cashew, right? See, we have to understand a couple of factors, international factors, which drive cashew price. The consumption of cashews in India, I'm seeing in medium term, long term increasing substantially, right? We are looking at like 7 to 8% increase in the consumption. Are our yields and productivity increasing? The answer is that it is stagnant, it is not increasing at all, and if anywhere it is gonna go a little bit of downside because of the challenges associated with cultivation of cashew. Climate change is already creating a lot of havoc, right? So overall productivity across the globe is under a lot of stress. So we have, I'll say that, beautiful next couple of years for cashew industry, where you see productivity not picking up and demand will definitely be picking up. So if you ask me today, do I see the trends? I see the trends are bullish when it comes to the prices of cashew in medium term and long term. Short term, I believe it is too much of speculation already in the market. So you cannot predict on the short term basis. So at least in this commodity, I would not get into what is going to happen in the short term. But medium term, long term, definitely I see it to be pretty bullish. Again, in the previous session also I said we have to ensure that more and more, in fact a beautiful slide by my co-panelist showed that actually more investment is coming to Western Africa, right? I believe we need to invest far more than what we have invested. For example, 10% of all the cashews are only processed in Tanzania, right? Now it is like, chicken and egg situation where if we give a good product and there are buyers, then we invest, right? And if you don't invest, you don't get actually that market. So I believe somebody will have to take that bullet and say that, okay, fine, I'll create the sufficient level of good quality product, which I can not only just rely on sending it to Vietnam as semi-processed or partially processed to Vietnam and India, but can I create a product which can be exported straight away to US or not, right? I believe Tanzania and Africa need to have those sort of aspiration where can we create a global product, and in fact, if there Tanzanian people are there, they give this nice pouches of cashew on their airlines, and believe me, that is what they can do it. I believe they definitely would be sourcing from Tanzania only, and if it is sourced from Tanzania, I think the world is a market for Tanzania or for Western Africa. And with that, I would like to end my intervention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another round of applause for our panelists. Thank you very much, and would like to bring this to a close. And once again, I would like to thank all the panelists and the presenter. And, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much, Mr. Odex Rukonge, the moderator. Give a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. May I invite Sri Dilip Mohanty of Reliance Agro, please, to come and join us on the stage. Dilip bhai. And Mr. Suvir Purohit, please, may I invite you to join Dilip bhai to acknowledge our panelists and our moderator, a small token of love and respect. First, to Mr. Chaudhary. No. Sorry? Dilip ji, aap bhi aiye, please. Dilip bhai. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Vasudev Kamath. Yeah, we acknowledge your presence and we thank you. Please wait. Dilip bhai aayenge. Dilip bhai bhi aayenge. Look at the camera, please. Look at the camera for a good picture. Look at the camera for the good picture. Thank you, Mr. Kamath of Mangla Cashew. Thank you very much. Mr. Deepak Parekh. Deepak bhai, may I invite you and acknowledge your presence here as a panelist and sharing your thoughts. Thank you, sir. Look at the camera for a good picture. Thank you, Mr. Rajiv Papreja, Commodity Trading. May I invite you, sir. Rajiv ji, thank you. Mr. John, Tanzania Association of Cashew Processors. Thank you for your presence. And finally, our moderator, Mr. Rukonge, please. So thank you so much for being our moderator and finishing on time. We really appreciate. I'll invite Rohan to take over the final session. Mr. Rohan Sikwera. For a group picture, everybody in the front, please, for a group picture. Thank you very much. All our panelists, moderator, and our organizers, thank you very much for a group picture. Big round of applause. Thank you. As Rohan takes over from here, thank you.
Thank you so very much. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a fantastic panel discussion on the market trends in cashews. Thank you once again to our esteemed panelists. We will definitely hand you some cashews, sir, but you have to come back on stage right away. In fact, he will. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, with that, we are now ready to proceed with our final business session for the day, which is a panel discussion on market trends in spices. And we have all our esteemed panelists amongst us. But the first to come up on stage will be our moderator, Mr. Deepak Parekh, Chief Growth Officer, Sumaya Corporation Limited. So may I take the pleasure of once again inviting Mr. Deepak Parikh up on stage. It's going to be a marathon session for him. Like we promised you, sir. We're not only giving you cashews, we're giving you cashews dipped in spices. Thank you for joining us, and Mr. Deepak Parikh will now welcome all our esteemed panelists up on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, once again take the pleasure of inviting Mr. Vijay Sardana, techno-legal and risk management expert and the advocate of Supreme Court of India. Let's have a round of applause and welcome Mr. Sardana up on stage. Ladies and gentlemen, please, I request you to kindly get your hands together as we invite our panelists up on stage. We have amongst us the General Manager of Main Kenya Limited, Mr. Marvin Murphy. Let's have a round of applause and welcome Mr. Marvin Murphy up on stage. Mr. Marvin Murphy, sir, if you're here, I believe he'll join us in a short while from now. We have the CEO and founder of Al Sultan Establishment Limited, Mr. Mazen Sultan. Thank you so very much for joining us, gentlemen. Yes, let's have a big round of applause, please. I'd like to invite Mr. Brij Kumar, International Sales and Marketing Head at Elvin Agri. A big round of applause, please. Thank you so very much for joining us. I'd like to welcome Mr. George Kiveleg, from Operations Manager at Tanzania Spices Association. Mr. George, will you please join us up on stage? He's not here. Right, we'll welcome Mr. Qasim Al-Alabi, Business Development Manager at Otimale Limited. Mr. Qasim, are you here, please? And finally, let's welcome Mr. Hamad, President of Zanzibar National Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to welcome Mr. Hamad. Thank you for joining us, sir. Indeed, let's have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we have a final session, a panel discussion on market trends and spices to commence, and I'd request Mr. Deepak Parikh to kindly take this session forward.
Hope I am audible. Okay, great. So I know it's difficult to be in the last session, at least for the audience, right? And luckily speakers are having all the energy. Right? We are having very young team. The youngest, my elder Mr. Sardana Saab, right? His energy is infectious, super energetic person, right? So we have in this panel, so I'm also fortunate to be moderating him, right? That's a rarity. So spices, we all know that actually it's it gives flavor to our food, right? And we Indians, we love our spicy food, chili, turmeric, ginger, right? You name it, and we love it, right? And I've seen that when I was traveling around in Tanzania, right? You make Indian food in really, really good manner, right? It's pretty tasty Indian food is what Tanzania delivers to us. And that is one of the reasons is that actually the spices being produced in Tanzania. Now, if we see that the spices industry itself, right, and Africa has been contributing immensely, right? Total export of close to $10 billion is not a small sum, and that is what Africa has been able to achieve. And many of the commodities, when we talk about from cinnamon to turmeric, chili, right, while they have originated in different continents, but you see that they have been early adopted in Africa also because of the trade route it was having. The cloves, right, one of the best in the world. Cinnamon, excellent. Nutmegs, and all of them, they are a more than $1 billion export industry. Now, I would definitely start with it would be not right without getting Mr. Sardana into it. Sir, I would like you to speak what you feel is right, because I have no capacity to tell you what to speak about.
Thank you, Deepak ji. It's a really honor to be here for one of the very wonder crop of the nature, these spices. And very often, I think, in trade, we ignore the true potential of spices. We look at spices just as a, culinary ingredient, just for taste. But if you look into I'll divide this another 2 minutes into two different dimensions. If you are in a spice trade, be very careful, because around the world the standards related to spices are changing very fast, especially pesticide residues and aflatoxin related problems.
especially those who are exporting to Europe and other high-value markets, they have increased the surveillance on many spices. When it comes to surveillance, means the consignment when it is reaching the port. Earlier they used to do 5% sampling, 10% sampling. In many of the spices which are leaving India and many other countries, the surveillance has gone as high as to 50%. Means every alternate consignment will be sampled, detected. Means risk has gone up in the business. So one way of looking at it is that spice trade, generally, even our agriculture laws and food laws are not taking spices seriously for two reasons. One is it is a minor crop. You don't grow too much like wheat, rice, paddy and maize and other things. That is why the pesticide related standards and norms around the world are very weak or insignificant or very often does not exist. And classic example of India. If I am exporting a product from India to any other important developed market like Europe or America, when they do the pesticide analysis on spices, invariably they found there are a lot of things which are unwanted. And this is putting pressure on spice trade. So those who are in the spice trade, please start focusing on quality. If you are in a spice for food application, that's what I'm very clear on that. But there's another huge market which is emerging. I don't know how much trade is focusing on, because actual money is there, not in doing commodity trade of spices. Today, world is moving away from agrochemicals, even in agriculture control or the pest controls, into essential oils. And if you really want to harvest the potential of spices, focus on essential oils. Rest is all garbage. If you take essential oil out from the spice, rest is just fiber. It has no value. So if you are really in the game is going to be essential oils. It has many applications. As I said, it is in the health control, it is in disease control, it is in pest control. That is on the one aspect. Second, spices are today one of the most important ingredient in perfumery industry, fragrance industry, cosmetic industry. That is another dimension. Another aspect which is becoming very important is wellness category, health foods. And this is where the game is going to be. So there is a way to look at it. Either you are interested in 100 rupees a kg or 200 or 500 rupees kg spice, or you are talking about ₹1 million a kg essential oil. Best part of essential oil is you are not bothered about the quality of raw material. Even damaged, shriveled, uneven size can go into essential oil business. Applications are immense. It is an area of where you can create n number of intellectual property. You can create brands, you can create recipes. And remember one thing in life, commodity business never gives you money. But essential oil and spices, which has a sensory properties, is addictive. And wherever the business is addictive in nature, you make more money. Tobacco, you make more money. Liquor, you make more money. So think of a business where you can create addictive business based on spices so that you have your brand, your recipe, which is difficult to copy. What is pan parag? If you look into cost of production with the retail price, that is what the whole essential oil economy can do to you. And why I'm so bullish, and that is why, just to supplement before I close, I'm establishing worth 25 crore rupees R&D facility in Gurugram just on phytochemicals, and target is, one of the prime target is spices. I'm not interested in spice as a commodity, but spice as a raw material for further value addition. So think over it. We are open to collaborations. Those who are looking for good ideas and create IPR around the business, make millions of, see, either you go for 2% business or you go for 100% margin. It will not be container load, it may be few kgs, but there is $1 million in the game. Think over it and think spices differently in today's world, because people are looking for wellness, people are looking for immunity, people are looking for fragrances, People are looking for naturals, all comes from spices. So we have not explored properly what spice can do other than just doing containers and trading. Thank you.
Thank you, Vijay bhai, for such an interesting intervention. I believe, as a visionary person in the industry, you have shown the path forward. But actually, end of the day, my role is also to tell the market upar jayega, niche jayega, right? So let's talk about my intervention on the price point, sir, with your permission, because there are a lot of people from the industry who would also like to see that aspect of the business. So in my view, we are seeing dry chili being firm. I see a little bit correction in cumin. Coriander, I'm seeing going up. Turmeric, strong chances of going strongly on the upside. And other than that, coriander up, right? These are some of the spices I believe would be bullish. I believe in only those crops which are bullish, so I'm leaving those are going to go down, right? Rest you can understand which can go down. Now we come back to essential oils, right? So we are having Marvin, right, who is already having a business around essential oils. So Marvin would like to understand from you what Vijayji said, right? What you are doing and how you're seeing it going forward to be the industry of future when it comes to spices business.
So thank you very much, firstly, for allowing me to be on the panel with you, gentlemen. I work for a company, French-based company, 150 years old, called Man. It's a flavor house. We have expanded into both flavors and fragrances. From a flavor perspective, almost a third of our turnover comes from savory-based products, which are often snack seasonings, culinary seasonings, and so on. So adding value to spices is hugely important. We acquired what was a supplier of ours, which did both from mint production and oleoresin production from India, called Cancor, which I think they're the third largest in the world now for oleoresin production. And it's about making it from anything from the cost of transportation, as you're concentrating the product down, but more about the consistency of taste. So that when you do getting, the natural crop variations, the product droughts and so on, it all has an impact to the overall finished product and taste. So if you're doing it as a concentration level, you're not allowing yourself for product variability. So it's very important that you're giving the consumer something very consistent all along. And that can be, the snack industry is growing, still very much in its infancy within East Africa, but it's certainly growing, more traditionally from potato snacks, but it's becoming and developing anything from the local cheddar and beyond. So whether we do that or we take spices in a dry blend and apply them to those seasonings as well, it's adding value into the chain directly for manufacturers with always the consumer at heart is very important for us.
So Marvin, a very interesting thing. One more thing actually I've noticed, most of the flavors and food ingredient companies, their general gross margins are so high, right? I have yet to see anyone below 70%. So what is the secret for that? I think that would also add value if you can shed some light on that.
Yeah, so going through the process and adding the value, essentially what we're finding more recently is the cost, and ever since post-COVID, and it's always something everybody always relates to, the cost of the shipping lines, the transportation, that is adding such huge amounts. So to source locally is very important because you're reducing not only carbon footprint, but also the cost to ship. So that's quite critical. And all the time you can concentrate and keep concentrating and going further. So often it then, and where I guess Man adds value, is on the application methodology. So how do you apply it? How do you get the maximum taste benefit through application? Historically, it's been very much around dust application. But again, the use of oleoresins directly into oil, sprayed on post-fry, gives you just as big and or natural impact, but it will also help reduce costs from a cost in use perspective.
Perfect. So technology is leading to all those great profit. Yeah, please, Vijay sir, please.
I think what Marvin said is a fantastic thing. As I was mentioning to you, it is addictive. It's a taste factor, which is important. You go to supermarket, you have a combination of condiments, which is technically spices. 20 grams, 30 grams, anything from 50 rupees to 100 rupees in a plastic bottle. What is kg price and what is the ton price? And at what price you are selling the raw material? You are maybe selling 100 rupees a kg. But that 20 grams is of 50 rupees to 100 rupees. It is not the spice, it is the combination which gives the taste. And the money is for that intellectual property, not the commodity. So if your business is lacking intellectual property, and in spices you can create huge, whether you create a seasoning for Maggi, or you create a seasoning for pizza, or you create it for paratha, or you create it for masala for your raita. All are different tastes. But fact is, if you look at the ingredient list, they are actually common. It's a combination. So it is an intellectual property. It is not commodity which gives profit. Unfortunately, in trade, we only focus on quantity and price. And that is why we continue to struggle and we look into which way the direction is. If you really want to make money, intellectual property is 100% profit. Rest is commodity, which is available in 100 rupees a kg. Thank you.
Sir, ab 100 rupees mein kuch bhi nahi mil raha hai, lekin. So now I'll go to Bridge. So Bridge, you are trying to solve one of a big challenge which Africa spices sector has been facing for a long term, right? Delivering consistent quality product, right, to the end user in form of commodity. So we would like to understand from you how you have been able to achieve that, and some of the areas of intervention using technology which you have been able to solve such challenge which we face predominantly in many African countries.
Actually, the things starts from ground, from the farm, where we started with 10 farmers. We have our own farm, but the challenge in the if we see the farming side, there is a lot of challenge. First of all, in Tanzania, but it is growing nowadays. It's required education, proper supervision, that is mandatory to improve the quality of product. So we have made the supply chain from farm to processing unit. We have mediators, like they collect the goods for us with the proper our quality supervision. It's come to our farm, our processing unit, and then we have a strong quality team in both sides. So, and we are investing in to collaborate with some farmers. Even in entire Morogoro, we have certified the land, which is around 2,500 acre, to promote the baobab, which is the good potential, and the trend is going high now. So, and yeah, same thing. It's required educations, and we are spending money for educating the farmers, giving a training, and just we know that this Tanzania is a beautiful land. There's lots of opportunity that we can definitely grow and develop while working together with the farmers. So just the part we need to complete is education, providing them good resources, like some nearby villages, there's no, the water. They are traveling 10 kilometers to bring the water. So we are providing all, day-to-day activity need, and then they are coming up. The farmers are growing nowadays. We are giving them good value for their hard working. So this is the trend, and we are doing so many community development projects as well. In terms of, we associate with Jan Goodall Institute, where we are promoting our educational means about the food, organic food, environment conservation, and sustainable farming. So these are all things are mandatory to
grow the farm labels, we have to do the education. So that is our basic fundamental to maintain the quality.
That's excellent, Bridge. Like, helping handholding farmer, I think it is one of the very basics, which generally, like, a lot of companies miss out, right? And you doing that. Now, I would like to move to Mazen. Like, you have been trying to create another state-of-the-art facility for processing of spices in Tanzania. What are the challenges and how you have been able to solve those challenges to create a better value for the end users?
Thank you so much. Actually, it's been an incredible journey here in Tanzania. Tanzania's struggle in growing spices, not only in growing spices, but in the after processing of spices, in drying and in grading and in sorting. And this is a common challenge in all of Africa. So in Tanzania, we have started as all investors in Tanzania started educating the local farmers in seeding, in planting, in cleaning the farm, not to be a rich ground for fungus and for hazardous infections, but also to the point of harvesting and picking up and plucking on time and right on the maturity. We don't want the product to be over-matured or premature. And that is a very significant factor in terms of producing spices. The other thing, and Tanzania is a very rich country with spices, even in the region, it's number one. But I think it's an incredible journey because we have started even engaging with the local government, building them schools just to encourage them to indulge with us and give us the space and open their doors, even their families, to welcome us, to invest with them in solar dryers, in technology like electricity dryers and other methods. Grading, as I said, is very important, and packaging is another. Packaging and storing is a very important factor. Mr. Moderator and everyone here has pointed out that aflatoxin and poisonous developed, not grown up, but developed from the product itself, produced by the product. It starts from the farm, and this is where we come as a company and as investors. We collect from the farms, having an established collection centers, engaging with the farmers, collecting those products, bringing them to Salaam or to our processing units in every corner of the country, drying it ourselves, training them, and investing in that as well. So now we are at the process of attending international exhibitions and getting Tanzania back in the map of as an exporting country of spices. Thank you.
No, thanks a lot. And in fact, there is a beautiful map. You can Google it, like, spice map of Africa. And that gives a lot of insights. It's very beautiful. So, Mad, I'll come to you, like, you're able to solve one of the problem long back when Zanzibar started, like, being a state-based agency to collect from the farmers and ensure that a good quality product is sold to the end users. So I would like your intervention, your views on how we can take the spices industry of Africa forward.
Thank you so much. Once again, I appreciate this opportunity to be one of the panelists here. And I'm happy that colleagues have spoken on the part of Tanzania mainland or Tanzania in general. And I will speak specifically for Zanzibar. We all know Zanzibar is the main producer in Africa of the cloves, as the king of spices. And fortunately or unfortunately, clove has been a state-owned commodity in Zanzibar. Not everyone can export cloves from Zanzibar to elsewhere. Unlike here in the mainland, you can grow and export cloves to wherever you want to export to. But in Zanzibar, it's controlled under the government, under the State Trading Corporation of Zanzibar. So the farmers can only farm with the guidance from the Minister of Agriculture. They can dry and then they can sell to the state company with I think about 3 grades. The price now is rising and everyone is happy with the price. Of course, everyone wants more, but at least it's better compared to 10 years back. With other spices, we are falling down in terms of production, and mainly it's because of the space in Zanzibar. We all know Zanzibar is a small island, and the land now becomes scarce because of immigration, but also overpopulation from within. We all know when you consume more spices, definitely you make more babies. So the population increases. We cannot we cannot expand the land. So this is an opportunity for investors from India. If you can come to Zanzibar and invest in smart farming that cannot or should not consume bigger land, but also for colleagues like a friend here who has spoken about the plants for processing the spices. We export more than 90% raw spices, and this is not good for the government, it's not good for the people of Zanzibar. So we invite investors to come and invest in processing plants so that those spices can be exported at least semi-processed. And this is not only for the spices, but also we have other products like seaweed or sea moss, some people call it sea moss, which is very good, very rich in minerals. They say our bodies need 102 minerals. And in this one product, you get 92 minerals. So this is another very good product for Zanzibar, and people from India can come and invest in Zanzibar. Thank you so much.
Now, surely we will invest in seaweeds and all other exotic things Zanzibar offers. Right? You've got beautiful beaches, at least, that is a big incentive. So with that, actually, I would like to thank all my panelists for such an interesting engagement. And when I was talking about the prices trends, right, a lot of people would be saying that we need the reasons for that as well. What I said was free, but now if you want detailed analysis, it's chargeable. You'll have to buy me a coffee. Thank you.
Thank you very much to our panelists and our moderator, Mr. Deepak Parikh. Please carry on seating. I'd like to invite Ms. Jamila Hussain Puini, Minister Zanzibar, to kindly come on stage and join us, along with Bimal Kothari ji. Please come on stage and join us to say thank you to our panelists and to our moderator. So first, to Mr. Hamad. Thank you. Please welcome. Kabra ji, aaiye. Dilip bhai. Ji. So big round of applause to Mr. Hamad. Thank you for being our panelist. Thank you. Please take your seat. Mr. Kasim. Nahi hai. Mr. George Kivleg. Mr. Brij Kumar. Thank you, sir. Elvin Agri. Thank you so much for being our panelist. Big round of applause. Thank you. Mr. Mazen Sultan. Thank you so much, sir, for being our esteemed panelist today. Thank you. Mr. Marvin Murphy, may I invite you to accept a small token of appreciation. Thank you for being our panelist. Mr. Vijay Sardana, may I invite you to accept a small token of appreciation, sir. Thank you so much for your inputs always. And finally, our moderator, the very efficient Mr. Deepak Parikh, who've completed it in time. I invite all of you for a group picture, please. For a group picture, all of you come in the front in a semicircle. Yeah, thank you for a group picture, all of you. Thank you so much. And I invite Rohan to take over from here, please.
Ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's have a big round of applause for these esteemed dignitaries up on stage. Thank you so very much for this wonderful session of discussion that we've had together. And with that, we come to the end of the business sessions. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for your attendance here. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a short break now. We request you to kindly make the most of the expo that we have opposite in the adjacent hall and network amongst yourselves. At 7:30 p.m. sharp, we will have our ceremony of felicitations and entertainment, followed by cocktails and dinner. Once again, at 7:30 p.m. sharp, we will have our ceremony of felicitations and entertainment, along with cocktails and dinner. Ladies and gentlemen, we urge you to kindly visit the expo. Let's have a look around there. It's been an absolutely amazing, interactive, engaging first day at the Afro World Agri-Food Summit here. And we're looking forward to having all of you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. For day 2 that commences sharp on time. Ladies and gentlemen, short break now. Please do visit the expo, and we look forward to seeing you back again in this hall at 7:30 p.m. sharp. Thank you so much.